Hey everybody, welcome to Average Guy Opinions, episode 116. I am your average guy, John Corelli. Today is April 30th. We are 100 days into the Joe Biden presidency, and I guess I can give a review on it. I think part of the positive review is that there isn't too much to say. Unlike the first 100 days of the Trump presidency, boring is good when it comes to a president, in my opinion. Trying to think of some little things I don't like. I didn't like that he bombed Syria. I was hoping, as a leftist, I was hoping that we would be working on better ways to resolve our problems. He said, I believe he said some very pro-capitalistic things, which I know he has to do. But once again, as a leftist, I think we should be working toward a less capitalistic society. I'm trying to be a realist. I'm not saying we should not be capitalists at all. But I think we are seeing, and I've mentioned this in many videos, we are seeing the dark side of capitalism as a planet and as how people treat each other. I think it's getting worse and worse in a lot of ways. There's also a lot of charitable things going on in this world. So, but wouldn't it be nice if we didn't need all that charity? If we just, if the mega rich just clung to a little bit less of that money and maybe gave it up to the mega poor. Like I say, I can't rationalize a system that supports 73,000 homeless people for each billionaire on the planet. It's screwed up. We should be taking care of each other as a human race. That's all we should be doing. Anyway, be that as it may, let's go back to my thesis statement, the Joe Biden presidency. Unfortunately, I'm not much of a news junkie. I find that when I did get into that years ago, like in the early 2000s, when I started getting into CNN, and that was mainly it. I got into CNN for a while, and it just brought me down. I mean, of course, it wasn't a good time to probably be a news junkie at the turn of the century with the school shootings, including Columbine, 9/11. Just so much bad shit going on. The joke that was the 2000 presidential election, which is the first chapter of why we shouldn't have an electoral college. But once again, I'm getting off topic. This is what I do. I'm very average, you guys. Remember, that's why it's called Average Guy Opinion. So I'm average. I'm just going to lean on the wall here. Like I said, the bombing of Syria did not make me happy. I haven't done enough research into what is going on. If the exile of Russian diplomats, and I don't think there's an embargo on, but it sounds like there's just basically a cooling off of relations with the Russians, which actually may not be a bad thing. Knowing what little I know about history, when Jimmy Carter was in office, we didn't have a ton of issues with the Russians. It was an applied theory called détente, which meant both. We had the SALT talks. Sound like an old man. SALT stood for Strategic Arms Limitation Talks. I had SALT 1 and SALT 2. I believe were both under Carter. I may be wrong about that. Maybe the second one was Reagan. Maybe both were with Reagan. I just know that Carter was trying not to amp up things with the Russians. Brezhnev had been proven in his meetings with Ford and Nixon that he was not a man to be toyed with. So Carter had a lot of issues outside of that anyway. Anyway, man, I'm sorry, I'm just going on tangents tonight, but yeah. So I think, but what I'm trying to say is maybe this is a way of going into a detente type of phase, like we did over 40 years ago with the Russians, and maybe it's a way we need to show, hey, we're still we are the most badass military machine on the planet. Despite the numbers that the Chinese have, and despite the fact they are putting a lot of money into their military, thanks to us, by the way, because once again, we are, I've said this before too, we are the crack whore that keeps feeding money into the Chinese because of our need for stupid products and cheap products, and it's our own, if we come to the demise at the hands of China, it's our own damn fault. So, Biden presidency. Like I said, average guy with a history degree, So I see maybe some parallels. It's not like it was in the late 70s when the Russians decided to invade Afghanistan. There's nothing like that going on. But obviously, with the collusion, whether you want to believe that or not. I believe it. Um, uh, it was, and Trump was impeached for it. Uh, the Russians are some shifty characters, especially with Putin and the way he is wielding power. It's kind of frightening. He is basically turning it into a fascist dictatorship. He, if you've seen the way he has shuffled the chess pieces of that regime and still remained in power for close to 20 years, it's frightening, and we should be frightened of that. We got enough stuff going on in our own country to be frightened of, but I think this is a big test in Biden's presidency early on as to how he will handle the Russian situation. So far, nothing bad, as far as I can tell. So I'm okay with that. Not okay with bombing Syria, which is a long Russian ally. So that probably didn't help. Long time Russian ally, I should say. What else has happened? I mean, I've heard the right bitching a little bit that Kamala it has not been a present vice president, that she's not out there the way she should be. And instead of like talk about nitpicking, why don't you just, if you have a problem with the president, why don't you talk about that? I didn't bitch that that Mike Pence was overshadowed by Trump. Who knew shit about Mike Pence except when he wasn't wearing a mask in a hospital full of mask wearers? When was Mike Pence making any kind of headlines? The vice president shouldn't be. President should not be. I believe it was. I don't can't remember who it was. It was a long time ago, like 100 years ago, and I should know it. But was it Dewey? Somebody said the vice presidency is not worth a warm bucket of shit. The history books changed as warm bucket of spit. But indeed, the latter, or excuse me, the former was said. Anyway, so I don't care about Kamala, except I think she'd be a hell of a president should Biden die. She was my first choice for president in the first place. Anyway, back to more stuff about Biden. Once again, as an average guy, I got my investment portfolio, my update quarterly at the end of March. So I got it a few weeks ago. It was up. It had gone up through the Trump presidency, to be fair to Trump. So if I'm about the bottom line, I'm quite sure that Biden's lack of saying nonsensical stuff is probably helping the economy and or at least helping the stock market, because let's be honest, you don't want a nut job at the top. If you want a stable economy, you want a guy who's not going to rock the boat too much, and I think Biden has been successful at that. I don't know if he's going to get this country to come together. It's going to be a very difficult task. I don't think he's separated it anymore. I do, as like I said, as a leftist, I'm probably not going to get what I want out of this presidency. But as a sane, thinking, normal person, and a lot of people think those things probably are mutually exclusive. I can guarantee you they are not. As a leftist, I care about people. That's it. I care about the planet on which we live. That's it. I don't have any radical notions about anything except that money. I don't have a problem with wealth being shared and us taking care of ourselves. So I sound like a broken record. Where did I trail off that time? Like I said, yeah, just basically saying as a leftist, I'm probably not going to be thrilled with the 4 years or 8 years that happens. I think we're going to be a very centrist, if not right-sided state like we've been for a very, very long time. I do think that Biden can heal this country and get us to talk like normal people again. Maybe we need to get rid of Facebook. Maybe we need to get rid of social media where we just bitch at each other and don't have to talk to each other face to face like human beings and be reasonable. I find that's usually the best way to work things out. I've got people I completely disagree with at work. I just had one of my coworkers say masks don't work, and I was just like, I just kind of glaze over and I just go, yeah, okay, yeah, I'll talk to you later. I just walk out of the room. It's like, if you're gonna talk nut jobbery, I'm just gonna leave. I'm not even gonna argue with you and go sit. Like normally, like in my younger days when I had the energy for it, if somebody said a stupid statement like that, I'd say, well, where'd you hear that? I want to hear some proof or some evidence behind that. I was like, no, I'm not gonna argue with you. The proof that you found or believe in is so ridiculous that there's no point in me even furthering this. I don't have the I don't have the energy anymore. You're going to talk stupid shit. I'm just going to go, all right, peace, bye. So it's brief what I just said, and I should have had more details and done more research, but I'm satisfied with the first 100 days of the Biden presidency. I'm not upset. He's not calling countries shithole countries. He's not dividing the country, that's for sure. So I'll take it. Well, let's see what the next 100 days or the first year brings. Thanks, guys. That's sorry, that's a lot of rambling. I apologize. Sometimes I do that. That's episode 116. I'll see you guys next time. 117. I'll figure out something to talk about. All right. Bye.